Nope, it's regular.
Ooh.
What are we going to see, John?
Mom.
28 years later.
Her tickets are more expensive.
No. Be afraid. Be very afraid.
All right, gentlemen. It's Friday night. You're going to Blockbuster. You got 3 movies to choose. What are the 3 movies you choosing?
I'm going by boxes. I'm going to go by box covers on this one, guys. So,
Okay.
I'm in Blockbuster, right? I'm walking around. I'm trying to remember these box covers. Probably going to pick up Trick or Treat. I remember that box cover, the VHS cover.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
that's a good cover.
I'm looking for Pumpkinhead. Pumpkinhead was always a big one.
Second
'Cause
row,
that
second
Pumpkinhead's
one
on
in.
there.
Yep, second row, second one
Yeah.
in.
There it is. Pumpkinhead is definitely it's got to be. Army of Darkness might be the third because of just that image of him. He's standing there with the shotgun and the girl on him. That's an easy rental. But I thought that They Live was on here, but I guess not.
Oh, it's on there.
Is it?
If
It's the
They
4th
Live-
row.
All right.
5th one down. 6th
If
one
it-
down.
I got to do They Live instead of, I'll do Pumpkinhead, Army of Darkness, and They Live because They Live has the coolest movie cover probably of all time.
Are you
Like
all out of
Blockbuster.
bubble gum?
Yeah. Like that Blockbuster, when you walk by it, you saw it, you knew it, it was there, it was watching you walk around the store. So those are mine.
Okay.
Go ahead, Ryan.
All right. Well, if I'm like a kid thinking about going into Blockbuster, I'm starting off with my favorite. Right off the bat, it's Scream. Love the cover, talking about box cover, and just it was like hip in 96, especially when Blockbuster was like thriving. And that was the movie everyone wanted to see, especially like my peers in first grade. We all wore the Ghostface costumes and stuff. Just fun. Let's see. Number 2, I gotta go with Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. I saw Part 4 on there, but Part 6, when he gets resurrected like Frankenstein, is like imprinted in my brain. And it's just a great opening. And it's what Scream became years later, basically. It's a horror film, but it's like making fun of the horror genre, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
And Part 6 does that very well. And it's like, knows it's a silly horror film. And the last one, see, I was in between on this because I did see the list, but I'm taking your Army of Darkness. I need a little Ash in me, man. Little Sam Raimi.
You say
Nice.
Ash will probably do that for you.
with that boom, the boomstick.
Boomstick.
Nice.
Mm.
I like it. I like
All right,
it.
John.
All right. Night of the Living Dead is a must.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll see the Romero shirt tonight. Reanimator is my second.
Okay.
Love me some Reanimator.
Jeffrey Combs.
Yeah, man. And I'm going to take a third that fits a little bit in a strange way into what we're talking about tonight. I'm going to go Sleepaway Camp.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
There's a dong in that too.
Dong da dong.
Spoiler.
So many
right.
dongs.
Oh, man. All right. Well, welcome to Xenomania, guys. We're going to be rounding out what I once thought was a trilogy, but it's not going to be a trilogy. 28 years later is our episode for tonight, and we got to come right out of the gate and tell you we went out and saw it, and we're going to spoil the hell out of that movie for you. So
Yeah.
if you haven't seen it yet, and you don't want that to happen, you got to go see it first.
Yep.
Yes. Definitely go see it. And go to the Lowe's AMC in Danbury. Those chairs are comfortable. They recline. And well, listen, for 20
Ryan lives there. That's where Ryan lives. We live in a different
that's
state.
where I live.
Ryan lives in a van outside the Lowe's.
That's sad.
Down by the river. Oh.
But
never mind.
yeah, since you shouted it out and put all of us at risk, we'll also shout out their customer service and everything that were awesome and gave John a cool 28 years later
Yeah,
movie
man.
poster. It was sick.
It's a pretty
around
cool
the house
poster.
somewhere.
You can see it on our Instagram. See it on our story.
Yeah, we'll probably have it in the beginning of this video too, actually. So
You'll
good deal.
Yeah, you'll see
True,
you'll
true.
see it nice and unrolled, and then you'll see it rolled up like a dong.
We're gonna be referencing dongs a lot because this movie has a big dick in it.
The alpha dong.
It
alpha dog.
has a big one, but it also has a bunch of them too. Like
Yeah,
there's one that gets a lot of attention, but there's some other dongs.
Well, that attention, that
not all
attention,
dogs were created equal on this movie for sure.
No, I
that attention. I'm just gonna say that attention really made a parent leave with his two daughters in the middle of actually close to the end of that film, because they were like an hour in, and Kearns pointed it out, and I couldn't help myself but laugh. But you see so many dongs throughout the film in this, like these parts, because they're basically savages, and we're going to talk about that. But when it gets up close and personal, that's when you decide to take everyone out of the theater.
it wasn't
It's already been
it wasn't the violence.
it's already been ruined.
It wasn't the infidelity. It wasn't any of the. It was one dong. It wasn't infected
The dong.
pregnancy and birth giving. It was a giant veiny dong.
The dong to end all dongs. That's what that dong was. That sucker, when he jumps down in that scene into the train and you get the camera pans on him, it's on the dong for like a solid 2 seconds. Jesus
Yeah.
Christ. But 28 years later, so Alex Garland's directed,
Wrote.
right?
Written.
Wrote.
No, wrote.
Wrote. And who directed it?
Danny Boyle.
Danny Boyle. All right. They took some artistic turns with this one. It's an interesting way they started it out. They did a couple things in the middle. We'll probably touch on those first.
Mhm.
But just so you guys get the premise, it's 28 years after 28 weeks later, or no, 28 years after initial outbreak.
Initial outbreak.
Yeah,
I
after
think.
initial outbreak, because it really seems like this is one of those sequels that ignores one of the previous parts. Because a lot of the things they established in 28 weeks later do not play out in 28 years later.
Oh yeah, true that they
Yeah.
had taken the island.
Yeah. And
Yep.
the lifespan of the infected
Yep,
is
that's
not,
an interesting one.
and the evolution of the infected, or de-evolution
that
of the
happens.
infected.
So 28
They
days,
retconned
and then
it.
at 28 weeks, you would imagine that it doesn't apply, like evolving in 28 weeks compared to 28 years. All right, we get it. But we also kind of figure out a few other things as the movie goes on that listeners, you'll understand kind of what they tried to do to get you to suspend your disbelief that these things are still crawling around. And I mean, if you suspend your disbelief, it does the job. But John's right. It really does kind of screw up the whole scientific backing of 28 weeks later. And I don't have a gripe
Yeah.
about that. It doesn't ruin 28
No,
years later for me.
I mean, 28 weeks wasn't Danny Boyle and it wasn't Alex Garland. They went with what I would imagine their vision would have taken them to.
And one of the things they leave out, though, not once in 28 years did you get the running scene, the fleeing, like with the music, the iconic music. I don't remember hearing the music from the beginning of
No.
28 weeks later and from kind of the middle end of 28 days later.
Mhm.
When they're running away, like seemingly about to be overrun by these things, they have that iconic music score for this franchise. And I don't think it's in this movie.
No,
Yeah.
it's a more in your face score and soundtrack.
Yes.
And I think that plays a big role in how different this is than the predecessors.
Well, you notice that in the scenes when they're showing the infected in the woods, the camera color they use is all red. It's, again, in your face, like they're tearing animals apart, they're feeding. You see the blood spraying, at the cool effect of seeing like the blood spray in the red color, but it's showing that like they have, we can say again, de-evolved. They're like savages, and maybe as the other, I think this next one's the Bone Temple, which is also written by Alex Garland, might explain a little more into that and how they have evolutionized, we can say, how they're growing,
Evolved, Brian, evolved.
evolved. Yeah, evolved, evolutionized. It's a new word.
Evolutionized.
You gotta do that.
The Ryan
Oh,
Dictionary.
man. It's getting bigger. So,
So's the dong.
but your point is well made,
Yeah.
friend. Yeah. Yeah.
I was I feel like I'm like Bluto from Animal House. Like once I'm on a roll, I just have to keep going. It's like when the
Word
Nazis
beginning.
burned Pearl Harbor. Wasn't it Japan? He's on a roll, guys. He's just on a roll.
So when we start, by the way, we got a pretty decent cast here. Some names that you've never heard before. One name you probably, or two names you probably have, maybe three names you probably have.
3.
Yeah, about 3. But he starts out with Aaron Taylor Johnson's character, who I just know as Dad. Jodie Comer's character Isla is his wife. They're ensconced in a living community that's on a perfect little island that's only accessible by this kind of jetty you can walk across during low tide.
Mhm.
And their son's Alfie Williams, who's named Spike in the movie. And it starts out with Jamie, his dad, Spike, going out on their first quote unquote hunt. So you imagine that these people scavenge for certain
Mhm.
supplies and things like that. They make mention they cut down all their lumber on the mainland and cart it back.
Mhm.
And so
Well,
that's a thing.
I think it's important to also note the beginning, which really doesn't come back until the very end of 28 years earlier, the reemergence of the rage virus and this kid Jimmy and some other children locked in a room watching probably the most horrifying thing in the whole movie is the Teletubbies.
Well,
100%.
it definitely hit me. It's like, damn.
They didn't show the sun, all right?
We're bringing
The sun
Tubbies
creeped me out.
bro.
And then, that scene quickly turns into the murder of the younglings, except for Jimmy, who manages.
That didn't bother the father that left the movie with the daughter. It was the gay
Nope.
Teletubby that really
Nope.
pissed him off.
I don't know. He was fine. I think he was fine with gay Teletubbies too. It was.
No, just the one. You don't remember that scandal? The one Teletubby they said was gay.
Yep.
No, that was sort of.
Yep, I remember
It
that.
was sort of
It was
out
peak-
of my.
I wish that was peak public stupidity, but unfortunately, we've evolved too.
Devolved.
Thank God. Evolutionized.
Yeah, devolved's a better word for that. Devolution.
But that was a crazy scene, though.
Yeah.
Because, like, he hears the knocking, and, like, did he really have a choice? I mean, they would have probably busted the door down
Oh, absolutely.
eventually.
Did
You
he
know,
call
so
out
him.
from in there? Did he call out like dad or something,
Yeah.
or was he silent when they hit the door? Yeah, so that's what
No.
alerted them that he was in there.
Yeah. I mean, I think they knew they were in there but that really intensified it. And then they just sort of run in past Jimmy,
Yes.
who's able to sneak out to the church where his dad is seemingly pretty happy about this.
Yeah,
It's
he's got
his
the whole-
prophecy foretold.
Yeah, it's the end of days, and this is the rapture, and he's psyched. He's psyched because if you get, I guess he thinks when you get devoured, you're becoming raptured.
Mm-hmm.
John.
He does lead them, too, which is interesting. He leads them in, like, it's like you can say a crusade after he gets turned. 'Cause they start following him. But it's interesting how they took it that way.
Spoiler from the next movie.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Bone
we don't
Temple?
know anything about. We don't know anything about.
No,
the
we
dad
don't-
other than he gets in the
No,
church.
no, he just sort of gets turned and Jimmy runs off. But knowing where the Jimmy character goes, that's a pretty significant moment because the fanaticism is already there.
Yeah, it seems to be
Yes.
genetic. Yeah.
It's a learned
That's a
fanaticism.
cool opening scene. They could have done that music score there, by
Mhm.
the way. That would have been a good place for it. But
Ooh, that would have
Jimmy-
been.
Jimmy presumably he flees again, and then we don't see anything, and it snaps to 28 years later.
Yep.
And that's where we
Yep.
start on the islands, and you get the idea. They're a self-sustaining community. They've got their rules. They don't waste a lot of time on all that. That's been so done and overdone. So that was a good job by Boyle and Garland to just kind of scoot through that.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't waste a lot of time in there. This movie does not skimp on the action. So immediately you get Spike, Dad's making breakfast, and then they're leaving, and we get a good view of the mother, who's in a stage of dementia, and she's flipping out on the father for
Yes.
taking the kid
Yeah.
out. And then they lie to her and say he's going to school, and she's like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And they leave. And they establish a bunch of stuff from there, going across the jetty, going on the mainland. And that's where we get our first look at what these infected are looking like these days.
The crawlers?
The crawlers were the first. So yeah, now that we've gotten into it, that's the first major shift in the franchise, right?
Yeah, changes in
Yes.
what the rage virus does to them.
Yeah. Now it feels like a video game. It feels like Last of Us a little
Oh
bit.
yeah,
And that
Last
was
of
a
Us meets
choice.
Resident Evil.
Yeah, it was a choice. I'm not sure how people are going to view the choice. I'm pretty neutral on it. I don't love it. I don't hate it. The grubbers, they called them, are the big fat ones that are just
Mhm.
crawling around slurping up worms.
Grubbers.
And it's like, okay. And yeah, it was a good, safe choice to shoot that one first. They're going around with bows and arrows. They're not equipped with automatic weapons or anything fun like that. So they're great with arrows.
Mhm. And I mean, that's a very logical thing too, because it's still very well established that the rage virus infected are drawn to sound.
Yeah,
So even if you
Yes.
have a gun, you really don't want to use it.
that's fair.
No.
The other fun thing about the arrows is how they overhype what the impact of an arrow looks like.
Oh,
They make
that
an
was so cool,
explosion
though.
sound, and then they blow out parts of the infected's body when
Yeah.
the arrows. Except for that initial grubber where it gets it in the neck.
that one just had blood flowing. The others,
to
though, it's like it's that pop, though. It keeps you as the audience member focused on
oh
the
yeah,
film
it's necessary.
because, oh God, yes. I mean, just I feel like the chopper scene in 28 weeks later, unnecessary. This fits in the universe. I feel,
yeah, 100%.
you know.
Yeah. It's added
100%
gore.
Yeah, and
Yes.
you need it. That's like the not skimping on the action thing was a good move on their part. There wasn't a point in the movie where I was like, damn, and I'm getting old and tired and lazy and whatnot. And I was just like, damn, I kind of hope this is over soon. I really didn't hit that groove, and that it ended, and I was like, oh man, really? It's over? So they did well with the pacing.
hmm Yeah, it's nearly 2 hours. It doesn't feel like it's 2 hours.
No,
It moves. They don't.
It
waste
makes you
too
want
much time
more.
with certain things. Yeah, they definitely did that. The bastards. But
It makes you want more of parts of it.
right, there was some stuff I
There.
didn't like
Yeah.
watching. It moved fast, but I was sitting there being really skeptical of the choices that they
Mhm.
did. And I'm sure when we glance over those parts, we'll all kind of talk about them.
Yeah.
But we've got them on the mainland and they're foraging a little bit, but they're just there to get Spike to pop his cherry and kill
Yeah.
some of these things. And
Yep.
Spike does so. And then they wind up running into the next iteration of these, which are still
The
just
alpha
called the
dog.
fast ones. And there's an alpha
hmm
style thing, which basically commands other ones. So you have a tribal unit established. You have thought and control. It's the first time you ever see an infected standing still, strategically doing something,
Mhm.
watching what these other people are doing, and then sending others down after them. I fucking ate that concept. It totally flies in the face of the franchise's like previous precedent. I'm not a fan of. I mean, I've lived with it. I don't hate the movie because of it, but I just don't think that was the right way to go. What do you guys think?
I didn't mind it as much as you. They sort of turned the infected into Neanderthals. You know, they no longer wear clothing. They're communicating, very, very basically. And the alpha, is like, I don't like the sort of almost unkillable aspect of the alpha, but the rest of it I don't mind as much.
And then they said that the virus is like steroids for some of them. That's how they
Mhm.
explain the alpha concept. That's how it got to be 11 feet tall. It's not 11 feet tall, but it's pretty damn tall. I think it's
Yeah.
got to be about 8 feet tall.
Yeah.
Like 8
Probably
foot.
about 300 pounds, not a shred of body fat,
Mhm.
about a 10-inch cock, maybe longer, just flopping around.
20-inch
Just
dong.
dragging.
28 inches later.
20. That's gonna pop up now one day.
Yeah. No,
That's
get
the
that in
spoof right
metadata
there.
for your video.
Yeah.
That's
But-
a spoof.
It's.
I
don't
liked
know.
it.
The alpha
I
kind of
liked it. I thought
takes on almost a Sasquatch quality.
yeah, he does.
Yeah, a lot of hair. Well, that was the second alpha. They killed the first alpha.
Mhm.
But that took a lot. It took a lot of arrows. It took a lot of strategy.
I think she wanted.
And
There's two alphas in such close proximity. Do they not feud over territory and women and stuff? Because that's the other thing
Ooh,
I
well,
hate.
Bone
that
Temple.
fucking and reproducing is on the minds of these things, which
Mhm.
further shows thought. And then you're less in the rage virus mode now, and you're more in like John said, like a Neanderthal.
Yeah.
Bone Temple's probably going to explain it more.
I
Yeah,
mean,
That's how I see it going.
maybe. Or maybe this is, just one of those things that they're choosing to avoid having to address.
Well,
Yeah, just to move on.
Jim's going to be in the next one.
Mm-hmm.
Not
That's what
Jimmy.
we keep saying.
Jim. Cillian Murphy. Or Cillian Murphy. Sorry. Killian.
I see him
Killian.
listed in the cast. I mean,
I saw him too.
Let's see how it goes.
No, Ray Fiennes. No, he's not even in it. And I feel like the Bone Temple, as we'll get into it, it's very more connected to him, I feel.
oh, it's entirely
the
his.
whole tower.
It is.
Yeah.
It isn't. I guess. I mean,
So
you
the
could.
viewers don't know, and the listeners don't know what we're talking about. Let's do it linearly and get to the doctor.
Okay, that's fair.
So they run into these things. He gets back to they shelter in this cabin, which works fine. And then it randomly decides it's going to fall the night that they're sheltering in it, which is no problem. They just leave
Mm-hmm.
and they go back to the jetty waiting for the tide to get lower.
Yeah.
You said, well, Ryan, right?
Well, they leave because the stampede. A stampede causes that whole house to come down.
He dreamt of that. It was
Yes,
the stampede
which is
real?
another interesting concept. Oh yeah, yes, the stampede was real because they foreshadow it earlier when they come by the deer running past.
Okay. That's more believable than the house just fell because the dad, Jamie, does say it was just the time to go sort of
Mhm,
thing. Like he
mhm.
talks about it a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, the connection you mentioned with the dream is interesting because can he tell what's going on? Is
If
it
they
like the
add
whole maybe
psychic
he's in?
shit, the next movie's gonna suck.
It's
But John, what were
new
you
blood.
saying?
Yeah. That was one of the elements that I wasn't a huge fan of was the dreams and these sort of like cut in scenes from like medieval battles and stuff. I wasn't a fan of that part of it for sure. It
It's
made
like
it.
they were fight clubbing.
Yeah,
and
it-
subliminal.
Yeah.
messages in
It
their
sort of
face.
took me out of moments of the movie because it was, I'm trying to wait. What is it? What just happened? Why are there archers and like medieval charges and stuff? What's going on here?
Yeah, it was
It's
weird.
open subliminal messaging. It's trying to illustrate that they're at war and they're
Yeah,
training these
yeah.
kids to be soldiers. And it's like you can see that Alex Garland's an excellent writer. We
Mhm.
know this. He illustrates it perfectly in the script. It's like editing those scenes to make the movie a little longer. Sometimes you don't need that. It wasn't really necessary. Maybe like snippets in the beginning,
Mhm.
but not at like a few scenes after, just to clarify, so to say.
Yeah.
It's, I would have taken more of the red coloring with the Ragers going crazy, destroying things. I think that would have been cool to add.
They did little cuts too to just to establish, which is flies in the face of a horror movie. But they like with the alpha putting the deer's head up on the tree, they
Mhm.
decided to do a
That was
cutscene
cool.
showing him doing it as opposed to making you sit there and wonder about it.
Yeah.
Which is
I like that.
establishes what John talked about earlier yesterday, is that this is not a horror movie. No,
No.
Wow.
It's an action movie with scary things.
and gore,
Yeah.
lots of gore, and some
Yeah.
really really girthy dick
And
as well.
and a little bit of humor. There are a couple of things that I laughed at.
Oh yeah, no,
I
it's,
thi-
it's a
I-
good movie.
I think they were intentionally funny.
But ripping into it a little
Yes.
bit, I think, is important because they tried to go for something with it, and I don't think they met that pinnacle.
No, I don't.
No.
I don't either. To get back to the story, I mean, it's really the return from this first trip out that sets everything into motion. Spike comes back.
Yes.
There's a big party for Spike. Spike gets a little drunk, goes outside to puke, and catches Dad messing around with Rosie.
And
He takes it hard.
Spike's not a fan of that because Mom's having a hard time,
Mm-hmm.
and Dad's getting down with Rosie.
Mm-hmm.
And does Dad get down with her? That's they show a little bit of that
Yeah.
too. And Rosie's like in this, we talked about this a little bit. It looks like she fell out of a Cosmo magazine. she doesn't
Yeah.
look like she's living in a post-apocalyptic hell at all.
No.
She's definitely got a razor. You
Yep.
know that much.
Yep.
She's got a whole
Perfectly-
stash.
Perfectly put together young lady, and then Jamie's character, a little bit more unkempt looking,
Mhm.
derails her. But they don't show the
Yeah.
railing.
And,
but
and
derails her.
I feel like that sort of is an attempt to make Jamie into kind of a bad guy. And I don't see it that way. I see it, post-apocalyptic. Jamie knows what's going on with his wife. He knows Isla is not well and is not likely to recover from what's going on. Not in the world that they're in without, we'll eventually learn what's wrong with her, but
Right.
without medication, without even a doctor on the island, it's, he's got to recognize where it's going. And even Spike eventually acknowledges that he thinks she's dying and that Jamie thinks that too. So
Yeah.
I don't fault Dad for any of his choices there.
No, I mean, it's a fair take. And
That's fair.
You're talking about a guy who's giving up his entire existence to take care of the family, care for Isla. It's not like he abandoned
Yeah.
her. He's just
No, he's still taking care of her.
pursuing some form of romantic thing elsewhere. And keep in mind too, his role in this society is the most dangerous job.
Yeah.
He could be dead at
Yeah.
any moment. So
Hmm.
I get it.
He can be dead and no one would ever know because it's also established they're not going looking for these people.
Yeah,
When you go out
they've
in the
tried,
wild.
failed.
So, and you got to figure even the best of them, you get a 1 in 10 chance, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe
Yes.
maybe worse than that actually.
You saw the graves. There's a lot of
Mhm.
graves there.
So that sort of sets Spike at odds with Dad. And, he kind of becomes determined that he needs this sort of mythical Dr. Kelson to come and save Mom,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Dr. Kelson.
which I know it didn't fully play out in this one. I would imagine it's going to in Bone Temple. It's sort of the catastrophic type of decision that the kids in 28 Weeks Later made to leave the safety
Weeks.
and take Mom with him to go and find the doctor.
Yeah.
Spike was born in this world. That's the difference.
Well, yeah.
Like, he kind of was, like, raised, while Andy and Tammy kind of were, like, thrown in
Mhm.
and just stupid.
But I mean,
I need to find a picture.
to that moment, to his, up until his first expedition off the island, Spike doesn't really know it. I mean, it's, it seems like it's a
Sure.
relatively safe situation. It doesn't seem like it's somewhere that gets overrun by infected particularly often. He may have never. It seems like at times in that first expedition, he's never seen infected.
No, definitely not. Them dragging the Alpha is like movie magic, coincidence sort of stuff. Because after they do run back, they do drag an Alpha with them.
Mm-hmm.
That has to be killed because they're out of
Yes.
arrows. It has to be killed at the gates of their community. And this precedes the stuff that we just talked about with Artie and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, Spike's character, in an effort to save his mother, he learned about a doctor who's out there. We also didn't talk about the fire. We went over the fire too. Spike noticed a large bonfire out
Mhm.
there, and they established this sort of mythical presence of this crazy doctor who's doing terrible things with bodies out there. And Spike decides he's going to go out there and find him so he can save his mom. And he brings his mom with him. And there's a little bit of a scheme to get out of the community, and off he goes.
Mm-hmm.
Back into the wild by his lonesome with his mom. And that's where we get pretty much the second half of the movie.
Yeah. And they also meet a Swedish NATO soldier named Eric Sudfgist. Because during this time, his patrol, they crash land and they meet the Alpha. And the Alpha tears them apart. Like, they think they're safe. They're going through this whole thing. Shit hits array. Ragers coming left and right.
Mm-hmm.
Lock themselves alone in the sewer. Not a smart move. Alpha found a way in, tears him apart. You see him rip the guy's basically skull from his body, spinal cord attached, and good old Eric just runs away. I really thought that was Jimmy in the beginning when I saw him, and then I was like, oh, nah.
I mean, I spent the whole movie waiting for Jimmy. That was just one in a string of people I was sure was going to be Jimmy.
Yep.
But
It's just the blonde hair.
they
I was looking for the cross.
yeah, they established the pulling the spinal cord out by the head as the alpha signature move.
Which is totally
Yes.
stolen from another franchise we're all well aware of.
Mm-hmm.
Predator.
Yeah. Which,
Sorry.
It's a visceral
Excuse me.
thing to rip somebody's head and spine out. For sure.
If he did the Predator chirps, definitely copyright infringement right there.
I mean,
All right.
yeah.
It's coming. Bone
Hey.
Temple.
They took some liberties with a few things, but that one was like, okay, that's fine. So Spike, Eric, and Mom are traveling. A lot of
Mhm.
comic reliefs going on
Mhm.
during this part. Eric's
Yeah.
kind of a goofball.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
saved after they're trapped in a gas station, and they sort of travel together for a while, and he's some comic relief, a little bit of like, this is what the rest of the world is like, Spike. Like, this is not.
Yeah. And then he establishes, I'm never getting off the island because this is the quarantine zone. Once you set foot on this godforsaken island, you're stuck forever.
You're done.
So he's traveling, trying to live. And they go together towards this doctor, and they chance upon one of these groups of infected who've got a pregnant infected. And like I said,
Yes.
you guys already know my opinion on all this stuff. Like, this is the direction they went in, and that's great and everything. But this is another moment where I was like, yeah. Because it's just not 28 days later.
Yeah.
It's just not. But whatever. They've evolved. It's 28 years later. I get it.
Yeah.
So she's preggo, and she's in a train later on trying to give birth to this baby. And Dementia Mom midwifes her way up and does this, and spirit fingers her and helps her deliver the baby, which is
She found a
super-
connection. It shows that they have a little humanity still left in them because she grabs the hand. She's delicate.
Mhm.
She sees she's helping her. And then once that baby pops out, it's game over. She
Yeah.
goes after Isla. Yep. She goes after Isla, and it's like Eric puts a couple shots into her,
Mhm.
but it alerts everyone as they're trying to figure out if this baby is infected or not, which turns out, I guess. So it doesn't really illustrate the point because the alpha comes and he's looking for the baby. Was it the alpha's baby?
I would assume
Was
so.
it would,
I would
imagine.
so
Yeah, I would assume that any baby born to those infected tribes is the alpha's baby.
so to infected create a positive and cured
Yeah.
baby?
They just they went through the science of it. The placenta
Yeah.
is known in moms to protect against babies. Like, a baby born with HIV isn't given HIV in vitro. It's given usually during child labor, the birth.
hmm
and
Which-
stuff.
Gotcha.
Okay. How does the baby not wind up infected after birth like that?
Well, they
Ooh,
definitely
yeah.
glance over a lot of the whole blood making, because don't forget, 28 days later, when it drops down on was it Frank's
Good old
eye?
Frank.
Mhm.
Frank.
And Frank's eye,
Brendan
and
Gleeson.
he goes, they kind of they move away from that a little bit when they're getting into these gory kill scenes and stuff.
Mhm.
If it gets in your mouth or your eye and you're infected, that baby's infected. The end.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Expecting a little demon baby running around, okay? I was
So they have-
prepared.
they have a
Did not
baby,
happen.
and it's not like they can't make normal babies in their society, but they're gonna be good people and protect the baby. So they take the baby, they run, which causes the Alphadon to chase after
Alphadon.
them, and they're all but fucked.
Mhm.
And who comes out of the woodwork but the good old doctor? I actually forgot his name.
Kelson.
Ray Fiennes. Yeah, Ian Kelson. And he comes out with a dart gun with some yummy morphine, and
Yep.
brings down the alpha. Not kills it, just puts it to sleep, which is another thing where, like, come on, kill it.
He gave him a name, actually. Samson.
Yep.
Yeah, he calls him.
Yeah.
Calls him Samson.
Dr. Kelson seems to commune with the infected to some level.
They're
He
around.
tries
him.
to be peaceful. Tries to be peaceful.
Yeah,
That's
he's
about
a
it.
weirdo. So they
Oh,
they join him
I mean,
and they walk.
The iodine.
as soon as he shows up covered in iodine, you know he's going to be a little bit weird.
I mean, it's a solid theory though. It's like it does this. The virus does not like iodine, so iodine. So he covers his whole body, and then he's got this like yellow kind of Mad Max look to him.
Yeah.
Then he's
Smart man.
He's in his own little camp commune. Well, not commune because there's no other community. It's just him and 1,000 corpses basically, and he bleaches the bones from all dead, infected and uninfected alike.
The Bone Temple.
He burns them down.
The Bone Temple, I suppose. And it's a visually cool thing.
The visuals of that Bone Temple are really awesome.
I wonder how long those bones would be bleached white like that out in the wild, though, because it's open air.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder.
Depending on the time of year, I'd say be fine in the summer. Start wearing in the late fall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you see
Early
bleached bones
early
like
Christmas,
that in the
December.
desert climates, but not necessarily in the wet climate of England.
Yeah.
So
It's just too wet.
And so you get the first act at the Bone Temple for Spike and Mom is in bleaching Eric's skull and adding him to the temple.
which is interesting.
Put him on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
They show a little gore, a little uncomfortable gore with that too, as he's
Yeah.
like peeling the remaining flesh off of it after he boiled it and stuff. Oh,
And the hair.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, it's normal. It's okay.
Jesus Christ, dude! We know you've done this for while they established that too. It's like many years.
28 years.
Mm-hmm.
He's been out there doing that.
Yep.
So, he does diagnose Isla,
Yep.
which isn't great for Isla because
No.
he diagnosed her with advanced breast cancer, which has spread,
Yeah.
and that's why she's going crazy
Mm-hmm.
because it's in her brain now. And basically,
To me, that was the most telegraphed part of the whole movie, was that she had cancer and she was definitely going to die. Almost from the minute you see her and, the intensity of the headache she has, that's where my mind goes immediately.
well, she has to
Okay.
die, or else Spike will never leave, the comfort of her shadow.
Yeah.
So
It's true.
for the story to move for that kid, it's got to happen. But the way they do it is actually kind of neat. The doctor kind of recedes back after giving her the news.
Mm-hmm.
She's aware of what's happening, and then they trick Spike and just shoot him with one of the tranks.
Yeah.
And he doesn't pass out right away. He's just pacified.
Mm-hmm.
And the mother explains to him, the doctor explains to him that it's best to do it like this rather than live with all this pain that's coming down the pipe. And she's with it right now. So she'd rather die on those terms. That was cool.
Yep. It needed to happen. What did need to happen is him being emotionless as he put the skull on top of the temple. I mean, I feel like as a screenwriter, he should have had a little more emotion, a little more tears, instead of being like, "Look at the sunlight, Mom.
Mm-hmm.
Just look at the sun." Like, I need more emotion.
Well, I would say two things about that. One, I would have thought that part would have been more emotional to watch, and it didn't hit me at all.
Not even a little.
But I think that sort of works too, because they're in a world where death is commonplace. You could grieve for like a moment, but you kind of have to go on from there.
Yeah, you can't stall.
I like that. Kind of
It's
like
true.
he's accepting it.
Yeah.
Like-
Dr. Kelson makes a big point of repeatedly saying memento mori.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then memento amoris.
We all die.
Yeah, remember we all die. Remember we all love. Like, it's that part works. I mean, you would want to see a little emotion from Spike in that scene, but that kind of works for me too.
It hardens. It shows like the end of that arc.
Yeah, he's not a kid
He's
anymore.
ready
Then
for the journey. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He just
Seeing
had
it
his
from that
mother's-
point of
His
view.
mother was just had her arms around him. He's got her skull in his hand.
Mhm.
45 minutes later.
because
Wild.
the other thing they sort of established early on is Spike is young for this. He's 12. Usually they send him out at 14 or 15. So he's young for
Right.
this. So he's, that's his grow up moment.
Yep. It's true. it's like a coming of age story in its own way in the world of 28 days later. Like, how do you mature in this world?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're a kid till 12, 14, then shit hits the fan.
And
Sometimes even sooner.
I mean, listen, people who aren't living in a safe island like Spike grew up, it's probably even younger than that.
Oh yeah, you got to be
Yeah.
ready to kill at a very young age. Get out there and go. And it's not like these things are easy to kill either.
No.
They're incredibly difficult to kill.
Well, the grubbers are.
Yeah, that's the
Grubbers
thing
are
about them
easy to
though is
kill.
the ever-presence creep, because a grubber
Oh,
almost
true.
takes out Spike.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's
I
a
feel
cool
like-
scene too, where they show the mother saved his life, but they
Yeah.
didn't. She didn't remember it afterward.
Mm-hmm.
That's neat.
Yeah.
Before
Pretty
she
cool.
died, everybody, just so they know, we skip over a couple little things here and there.
Mhm.
Well, I thought that was the same grubber from earlier in the film that they kept alive. He's like, go on. That's what I believe. I believe that's the same grubber from earlier. When Aaron Taylor Johnson's like, move along. It's like his payback. Gonna
Mhm.
take a chomp out of this kid. Just gonna take a little snack.
Could be.
But that scene was cool because it's unexpected. Because you think she's down and out, and then she
Mhm.
pops up. She had a Villanelle moment. If no one's ever seen Killing Eve, highly recommend it. She stars in it, Jodie Comer. But that was her moment of just knocking the Rager the fuck out, and it was good. It worked out.
Yeah. That was a good scene.
was good.
They definitely had a thing in filming this for the extreme overhead shots.
Yeah,
There's a lot of looking down perspectives.
which kind of gives you the whole looking into an ant farm vibe.
Mhm.
'Cause they're stuck in this world. Sort of.
I like that.
Yeah, it's an interesting way to go about it. Camera perspectives are huge. Another one of their artistic license takings that they did in this movie is that with the camera, what they decided to do during certain scenes, the extreme close-ups on the infected at times.
Yeah.
Not like in the other movies, where it was sort of
No.
fixed camera.
Mhm.
Things are running by the fixed camera. This was, kind of felt like watching Predators for a little while. Or Prey, rather.
Yeah.
Prey.
Mhm.
A lot of similarities there in that, too. Like I said, it's not a bad thing. It's just different than if you're going in expecting 28 days or 28 weeks, you're not getting those things.
No.
You're getting, and then the direction it looks like it's going in at the very end, which we're right about to get into, is another huge curveball, which is way different. It feels more like a Clockwork Orange.
Mhm.
Ooh, that's a good comparison, actually. Very good comparison.
For Jimmy, absolutely. As
Mhm.
they behave the same way, it's got to be a nod to Clockwork Orange.
Yeah.
The blonde hair, the ultra blonde hair and everything. But anyway, so he has to leave the doctor, the Bone Temple, because Samson found them.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
he takes Isla and he
Yep.
brings her back to the community. But he doesn't return to the community. He decides to not go back. And he leaves, and you get the 28 days later thing. After his dad tries to run
Yeah.
after him and can't leave, you can't win. So you get the 28 days later thing. And then you get to him cooking a fish.
Yeah, and he's cooking a fish, and the infected show up. He dispatches a couple. You can see in his 28 days since he's developed more confidence being out in that world. He does not panic. He's calm, but he's also extremely outnumbered and takes off running.
He's war torn, I feel. I feel like the 28 days, he's mentally changed. Spike has changed since the beginning of the film. We know, Spike as a kid, he's got the toys, he's having
Mhm.
fun, and then he initially slowly, accepts the life that's there.
Yeah.
And it's his own journey, which he's not in the second one, so I feel like the third one's going to converge everything all together, if that makes sense. Something like, I haven't seen Halloween Ends, but the whole idea of it ending and kind of wrapping everything up,
Mm-hmm.
that they're just going to wrap all the stories together.
So
And
establish this for the listener, Ryan. What are you talking about? How many movies are there going to be? Is this not the end of the franchise?
No, there's going to be 2 more. They're going to come out with the Bone Temple in January, which was shot back to back with 28 years later. Different director, but Alex Garland did write the sequel,
Yeah.
Okay,
so it
and then
does
there's a
continue the
movie after
story.
that.
Yep, which will be directed by Danny Boyle
So if you guys were paying attention, he said
and
that
written by Alex Garland.
Spike's character is not going to be in the next 28 years later movie, Bone Temple, but he'll be in the one after that.
Which
So this is
That's what I'm
establishing a new
presuming.
trilogy.
sort of implies to me that Bone Temple, the 28 years later Bone Temple chapter, is going to be sort of concurrent with the events in this 28 years later.
It might be.
Because they leave it in a
could.
place where that story has to pick up with Spike somehow.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't just move on. You could do a time forward kind of thing,
Mhm.
a flash forward, and have Spike played by an older actor.
Yeah.
Maybe that's like he's not in the cast, the kid. But
Let's see here.
that could possibly be it. But yeah, there's gonna have to be something. You want to establish what happened with Jimmy though.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Well-
at the end of the movie, when Jimmy's character
He's
is
in
all-
Bone Temple.
Yeah.
Jimmy is. Yeah, that's what
He's
going to
be in Bone Temple.
That's what we mean. Is
Yeah.
that they're probably going to flush out his story.
Because otherwise
During-
he doesn't. That's 28 years doesn't explain how he gets to where he is without that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, he's clearly
Okay.
at the end of this movie, Jimmy has become some kind of cult leader.
Yeah. A martial artist
Mhm.
tracksuit wearing.
And they're
cult.
I don't know if you guys noticed this in the
let's
credits.
let's finish the movie. Hold on,
Okay.
before we do that. So guys, when Spike is outnumbered, he runs to a roadblock and gets up to these rocks, and he's basically cooked. He might have been able to get out of it, but he's basically cooked. But then Jimmy is sitting there crouched at the top, and he kind of tells him, hold this long like pole vaulting rod, and he tells him that they're more coming, blah blah blah. Why don't you let my friends take care of this? And Spike gives his blessing. And then these Jimmy acolytes do these ninja moves, jump down, and they hilariously kill the infected that have run up on them in these weird ways. It's pretty fun to watch.
Mhm.
And it's a very campy, weird end to this movie. And it doesn't fit the
Yes.
tone very well.
No.
And it definitely feels like the Clockwork Orange. And
Yes.
it's very, like I said, it just shows that they made some decisions and they just went with them. I don't even know if they received negative feedback, if that would have mattered.
Mhm.
They just decided to go in this direction.
Yeah.
And John was just saying post credits now.
Yeah, so
after.
if you watch the credits, that's where you really, I mean, it's pretty clear he's leading a cult because they're all in blonde wigs, but you see the names all roll by and they're all Jimmy, 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 and then there's a woman who's Jamina. Like they're all Jimmys.
I gotta take a look at
Oh
this.
yeah, we jumped past the nod at the beginning where they've got the guy hung upside down and they've carved
Yep.
Jimmy into his body and then let him become infected.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
That was his punishment. So the Jimmys
You-
are out there, man.
Do you think Spike's got an idea or no?
Well, I mean, he might be able to put that together. He did read on the corpse.
Mm-hmm.
The infected guy. Is
I think at some point he almost has to come to that conclusion. Maybe not
Okay.
imminently, but like that feels like it's something that's going to come back.
He joins them,
for sure. So
escapes their clutches in the 3rd film.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's the entirety of 28 years later. Gentlemen, what's your take? Warm, cold, hot? What do you think?
I'm warm. I like a lot of the stuff, but the thing is I can't be a fan of movies that have an open-ended. Like it's open-ended. Just because let's say they didn't get that movie greenlit, the sequel.
Well, they already
Right.
filmed it though.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
They filmed the
I
last one.
but hypothetically, if they didn't, right? And they just
Wow,
was like
but-
it's an open-ended. That's how I see it. I'm like,
That doesn't really apply to this one though, man. I'm gonna kind of
Yeah.
It doesn't really apply to this. They filmed them
Yeah.
at the same time. So the open-ended ending
fair.
thing,
But, like-
hating that in another movie, I get that right. But this one, they filmed them. They knew they were gonna have the other.
I'm
movie.
not even sure I get that gripe. I mean, Empire Strikes Back is pretty open ended. I mean, there's a third one coming, but
No.
that's pretty open ended.
Yeah,
All
I
right,
guess you're right.
I'm taking I'm taking it back. I'm taking my ball back. Taking it back. I'm still warm on it.
There's plenty of other reasons to be warm on it, though.
Mhm.
Like you're not gonna shit on that.
I would.
That's my take too. I'm average warm.
I would say I'm lukewarm. I think
yeah.
I want to watch it again
Yeah,
and sort of digest a second viewing and see.
I do wish Dr. Kelson was in it more. Like, I wish there
I
was
get
more
why
Kelson.
that's not a thing too, though.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that'll be big in the next movie because like John's prediction seems like it's pretty likely that they're gonna do his story and Jimmy's story kind of rolling through the next movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I mean, the thing with Kelson though is like, I don't know how much I want to know. Like, how does he get there? That's like, and watch him constructing. But I kind of like him just being a sort of weird, mysterious character.
mysterious Herman in the woods.
Yeah,
Leash and Bones being weird.
yeah. Like, I don't want to know his story.
That's how it
That's
should
fair.
be.
That's fair. The
Like
wise
he-
stage kind of character vibe. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's very ambiguous.
He doesn't seem evil either. I was expecting him
No.
to be evil.
Yeah,
It
that-
doesn't appear.
That was the twist I was waiting for. Was Dr. Kelson is not a good dude.
But he seems like
Yeah.
a very good.
Yeah. Yeah, he's doing
Uh,
his vision of the Lord's work, I think. He's sort of returning some sort of balance in his own weird way.
I agree with
And-
that. There's a lot of religious undertones, you can say, like in the beginning and with Dr. Kelson, and just, I guess, well,
they
religion
don't harp
as
on it
well
too
as
big.
no, not too much, but it's that
They
mix
make a
of
bit of
like,
a mockery of it actually, and then they
Yes.
sort of just make that part of the film's fabric. It's one of the things the movie does, I think, that hits actually. It's how they handle the religious aspect.
oh, Jimmy's got
They
the upside
connect it to
down
a cross.
cloth. Yeah,
And
and
that's
they're
it.
all dressed like Teletubbies.
Not to say
They're-
that for the religious listeners out there, we're not meaning to just to disrespect you, but there are parallels if you, Jones out and things like that as well.
Mhm.
That
Well,
Yes.
the big JC.
again, from the credits, one of his acolytes is Jimmy Jones.
Jimmy Jones. That's nice. I didn't know that. That's a good nod. So yeah, he's definitely a cult leader.
Yeah.
If you haven't looked into Jonestown, there's a million podcasts on it and stuff like that.
Yep.
It's a wild ride. There's a congressman that
Movies.
was murdered by
Mm-hmm.
this cult.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy shit that happened.
And a
That was
whole,
the Kool-Aid one.
Flavor Aid.
Yeah.
Flavor Aid.
He didn't even give him the real
Kool-Aid.
stuff. They got the
I think you were in
knockoff.
South
version.
Africa, right?
Guyana, South
Guyana,
America.
they had
Yeah.
set up they're in South America, not in Africa. That's crazy. So that's the movie. I think some things hit and some things missed. I think that you're going to get people who focus on both of those things.
Mm-hmm.
People who really like this movie.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be kids who've never experienced anything like this movie,
Yeah.
and then
Nah.
you're gonna get people who hate this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And then you're gonna get guys like us who take the good with the bad and sort of
Yeah.
appreciate it for what it is, which was a movie that tried, and that's what I like about it
Yes.
the most.
Yeah.
They tried something new.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's
that's not
continue-
always gonna work.
And I'll reserve some judgment to see where it goes because it's clearly setting up something more.
Yeah, this is a 6-hour story. We've only seen 2 hours of.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's 28 years later, guys. I hope you watched it, enjoyed it. Would love to hear your take on it. Would love
Yes,
to hear if you
please.
disagree with us, especially me, and I know actually, especially Ryan. And,
Yeah. Open-ended.
On his open-ended stuff.
Empire
no,
Strikes Back is the
We're gonna be
best,
putting
though.
out more content and hopefully getting a little bit more feedback from you guys because we're starting to get a little hungry for your takes on things.
Absolutely.
And just,
Yeah, we are.
Let us know what you think about the giant dong, and if you would have let your kids watch it dangle around throughout the movie.
Or would you leave 45 minutes to an hour in after watching all those other mini donks? in the background?
Yeah. That was the part that almost made me laugh out loud.
Oh, I did laugh. I
what-
mocked them.
Yeah, he
What
did.
I think he was well aware that people were laughing at him. 'Cause
Yeah,
he got to the exit and did this sort of look around thing.
Yeah.
He-
It's
It was just
the
bladed.
young girl, the one kid was a little older, but then his other daughter was very young. Not like stupid, but she was like
Yeah.
in the 12, 12-year-old range.
Yeah.
She didn't belong in that theater.
No, I mean,
It's like-
she didn't belong in that theater because it's a rated R movie that
Yeah.
if you've
That's
seen the first two, forgetting the dongs, you
Yeah.
know it's not
Yeah.
probably not gonna be appropriate for your 12-year-old.
Yeah.
And if it's the sexuality part of it that puts you over, I'm a little worried.
Yeah. Fair.
Yeah.
Fair. Well, that's very American. That it's the
Sure.
violence. Anything goes, but as soon as you see it's it,
Yeah.
that's when we're
Yeah.
done. That's when we draw the line. We're gonna do our top 5. Let's see. You guys have to come up with something interesting for this one. So Ryan, what's your top 5 list?
This was hard, so I took
Yeah, it was
a practice. Yeah, it was. It was limp in some parts, but
Like a
hard in others.
big infected dong.
Just swinging in the air. But I borrowed something from John's playbook, and I went with my top 5 Ray Fine movies that I have
cool.
seen. And to start it off, I'm going to start off with Skyfall, the third Daniel Craig Bond film. Sam Mendes directed, brought Bond back to, like, I guess, the foreground of that classic style, the gadgets, because they were trying to go the Bourne identity with him, and it worked for the first movie, failed for the second, and they did a good job in the third. And I like him as M. He brought that.
Casino Royale is the second one, or was that the fourth one?
It's Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace, Skyfall, Spectre, and No Time to Die. That's the Daniel Craig alternate universe.
Okay.
But Skyfall brings it back, and it introduces one of my favorite groups back into the fold. Kind of hints at it is Spectre. I'm a big Bond fan, so Spectre in the Bond films was very prominent, especially the Sean Connery days. And Donald Pleasance as Ernest Stavros Blofeld. Sorry, Christoph Waltz. We can't beat that, man. But this leads me into another Ray Fiennes movie. We were talking about it, and yes, we agree that Manhunter's better, but I have to mention Red Dragon. He does kill the role. He shines in it, and you got Anthony Hopkins, you got Edward Norton, Harvey Keitel, Philip Seymour Hoffman. I mean, that's another scene stealer, but Ray Fiennes is he's awesome. Just awesome, the movie. And he does such a good job as Francis Dolhide. That's his name. There we go.
Carries the dread.
Oh, he does.
Very well.
He does. He does. I mean, I'll say Tom Doonahan is scary, but the presence of Ray Fiennes lurking and just the guy's huge. The back piece, they did a good job with it. And you can just feel that menacing, that he's everywhere around. Same thing in this other movie. I like this movie a lot. It's a black comedy. It stars Colin Farrell as well, and one of our favorites, Brendan Gleeson. It's in Bruges. Have you guys seen In Bruges? The two hitmen, and it's so dark. And I mean, I don't even want to spoil it because it starts off as to why they're there. I'll spoil it. Fuck it. Colin Farrell accidentally shoots a kid, and he's taken with his partner, Brendan Gleeson, to Bruges to vacation, to which Colin Farrell thinks he's kind of like getting away with it, while Ray Fiennes is like telling Brendan Gleeson's character to kill him, and to the point where Ray Fiennes has to go after him. It's a good film. It's funny, very dark, but it does have heart. It does. Unlike this movie, The Menu, that's my number 2. There's no heart in this movie. Oh, it's so good. I was waiting for it on HBO Max. I waited, and it's just, he is a menace in that movie. Just the scene. You went to college. Did you have any student loans? No. Then you're dying today. It's okay. And what he does to Nicholas Hoult, he destroys him to the point where it's just a movie you got to see. But can you guys guess my number 1?
It's
sorry.
The Menu leans on the chef trope, the mean chef trope as well. Like the drill
yes.
sergeant chef trope, and it goes AWOL with it. It's great. It's a good movie.
It reminded me of a darker version of The Bear. And if you've seen The Bear, I'm forgetting the guy's name. He hosted The Soup on Entertainment. He's like an asshole
Oh
chef.
yeah, he was in it for like a second. The guy from Community. What's his name?
Yep.
Oh, Joel McHale.
Yeah, Joel McHale.
Yep.
He's a pretty good actor, Joel McHale.
Oh, he is. I love him. He doesn't do a lot now, but the thing is, have you seen the third season?
Yeah.
Have you? I won't say anything, but Joel McHale's, as much as he's not in there a lot, his character arc is pretty intriguing. How they built him up, and then in the third season, kind of like settle it. It's done very well. I'm excited for the fourth season, but I was gonna say, do you guys have a guess of what my first film is?
First Ray Fiennes.
With Ray Fiennes?
I'm fried.
It's a classic. No,
Ferngully.
I wish.
Yeah.
It's actually Schindler's List.
Oh, a happy
feel-good
movie.
Hard to recall. Yeah, I was going to say. Oh,
Listen,
Schindler's
I
List.
watched it later on in life. I watched it during Christmas, like
Oh my
Christmas
God,
break.
Brian.
I watched it
Merry
during
Christmas. It's our new
Yeah.
Christmas
You know what?
tradition.
You know what I like on my Christmas? My Yuletide spirit relies on Death of Jews.
Jada was working. I was like, I need to watch this film. Everyone talks about it, and it's an excellent film. And the black and white stands out. The red coat, but Ray Fiennes is just a scumbag, and he does it so well. And it's an actual person, and it just shows how evil, these fuckers were. And it shows Liam Neeson as this man he's trying to make money in the beginning off of it, and then it's like it shows he has a heart. And it's especially the ending. It's just, I'm thinking about it, and I'm just like, And then right after that, you have to watch Darkman, because that kind of cheers you up after Schindler's List.
I was going to say, is that like a sequel?
It's like,
Oh, I thought you just went to The Boy in the Striped Pajamas and then that Roberto Benigni movie.
Yeah.
Life
Bro, I
is
thought
Beautiful.
Darkman was like some esoteric slavery movie that he was getting into.
Like
He
you,
was gonna follow Schindler's List.
Ryan, is your Christmas Day movie watch list just all Holocaust movies?
no,
It
it was
be
just,
Christian. That's how we do
That's-
it.
listen, the best film I've watched on Christmas was actually, I'll shout it out, was with my father-in-law a few Christmases back. We watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood together for the first time. And that was actually it's one of my favorite Christmas moments, besides watching Tropic Thunder. I watched Tropic Thunder on Christmas twice.
You know, we're a big family. We
Twice.
big on going to the movies Christmas Day and stuff. We might start doing that again as well, because it is fun to do that.
Yep.
Like, all right, John. I've been dying to hear about this.
Hey, I want to know what this is.
You're so damn proud of it. What did you do?
What do you
Is it
think?
I feel like it's
What do you think I
it's
did?
dong involved.
Oh,
it's
you are
dong
right.
involved.
It is 5 more dong movies. And
All right.
we'll kick off at number 5 with the only non-horror movie on the list, and also the only non-human dong movie on the list. It is Sasquatch Sunset.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, you're talking Harry Dong.
Yeah, you're talking Bigfoot dong, but you're talking it's one of the most bizarre movies you'll ever watch. It is at times funny, poignant, absurd. It's a year in the life of a Sasquatch family, and everything that entails: love, life, birth, death. It's somehow strangely powerful and meaningful without a single line of dialogue, without humans, without any of that. It's like, and dongs. Lots and lots of Sasquatch
Lots of
dongs.
dongs. All right. Well, that's very in line with 28 years later, because I would classify that as a Sasquatch dong.
Mm-hmm.
Alpha dong.
The next two have a director in common. We're going to go with Mr. Frank Henenlotter. At number 4 is Bad Biology.
Bad Biology.
Uh-huh. So,
I've heard rumblings.
oh boy, it's a weird one.
I've heard rumblings.
It's a weird
you
one.
heard rumbling.
So, two sexually unique people stumble through unfulfilling sexual relationships until they cross paths. She's an insatiable. And he has a drug-addicted, sentient, detachable dong.
Nice. Played by Andrew Dice.
No, played by a dong.
No, I know.
Played by a dong.
Played
Detachable.
Mhm. It embarks on its own reign of terror.
It's like a good choice of words. Little golden shower reference too.
Yeah, I didn't even think of
R.
that.
Kelly did the music score.
So my number 3 is also Frank Henenlotter. It's Basket Case.
Oh, there's a dick in basket
Was-
case?
Yeah,
Was there a dog?
Is it a
Yeah.
basket case?
old Dwayne running through the streets of New
Right.
York with his donger flapping.
I don't remember that scene. I saw the sci-fi version.
hmm So Dwayne and his formerly conjoined murderous brother Bilal head to New York City to seek some revenge against the doctors who separated them and left Bilal to die. Bilal was not supposed to live.
Yeah, he's supposed to. If you haven't seen Basket Case, then actually, I don't know. I watched it when I was very young, as I've said many times on this podcast. That was one of the movies back into my mom's room because I was scared from another horror movie Basket Case was on. So we just leave HBO on it. I would just watch those movies. Basket Case was a freaky one.
I love Basket Case
Yeah, it was.
so much.
He's pervy too, that little conjoined twin. Bilal.
Mhm. Bilal is a menace.
Yes, he is. That's part of what makes the movies fun.
Yeah.
So he is a menace.
My
Number
number
two.
2 is, I guess, technically not horror also. But it's Greasy. Because number
Really?
2 is The Greasy Strangler.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
That makes me feel a little bit better about you using the damn adjective greasy.
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 Have you guys seen Greasy Strangler?
I've never even heard of that.
Oh, I've not seen it. Look at you. How do you seem surprised by this?
Oh my God.
I think he's more surprised I haven't seen it. I haven't even heard of it.
Oh my God.
Just-
Okay.
Just the title.
So I
I don't know
really,
where I'm turning with
I
it.
really cannot tell you Bullshit Artists too much, except Bullshit Artists is a recurring line. Greasy Strangler has as much dong as 28 Years Later.
Really?
Varying
It's just
sizes.
strangling the people.
Varying
It's just
sizes.
strangling people.
We have a micro dong and a massive dong
Such is life.
and a Rudy Tooty Disco Cutie.
what?
Guys, I'm
What's
telling you.
number one? You
Hold
psycho?
on, let me tell you a little bit about Greasy Strangler. So father and son Ronnie and Braden run a
Hey,
disco
that's-
walking tour. When they
Uh-huh.
when they meet a woman that they both fall in love with, and it turns into a competition for infection. All the while, there's a grease-covered serial killer stalking the streets. It is
can't catch me.
it is amazing, and just for that, the Greasy Strangler is going on the calendar ASAP.
Yeah, it's
Oh.
got that too.
Is he? Please tell me he's deaf. That-
No,
that- Yeah, you can't catch me.
No.
Oh, it's making right
Oh
on.
my God, I can't believe you guys haven't seen Greasy Strangler.
No.
Oh my God.
Hold on.
Everything I just learned about it, I also did that against my will. I just want you to know that.
No, I need that. Well, we need that on the list soon. But I'm curious. I have a guess for your number one.
Okay, give me your guess.
You haven't mentioned it.
Ryan,
Ghost Story.
I'm so teed up for jokes
Nope.
right now because of like you have a.
You
dick
know what
movie
scene
that
I'm
you-
talking
I
about
was
right
gonna
there.
make his number one.
Well, okay. So real quick story.
With where I've
I
gone
was
with
watch-
this list.
Well, I was watching Ghost Story with my uncle, and they thought they had like the one that was made for TV. So there's this one scene where the guy gets pushed down and it's just flying in the air. And they freaked out because they didn't know it was in there. They were like, we thought it was the TV one. And I was like, well, you guessed wrong because we just saw a dick on the screen just fly down from the air. But I had to guess because I was like, he didn't mention Ghost Story. And that's like, that's
way
criminal in the scene because that's what gets the story going.
It's way too classy for this list, sir. My number one.
right.
You can't have it.
is rare exports and all of the Santa elf dick.
I've never seen that either.
That's on the calendar for Christmas time. That's definitely on there.
That's our Christmas
I'm
film.
sure we can slot it in between Schindler's List and Dark Man.
It's not that
Yeah.
hard to slide in. It's
Yeah.
okay.
So, in rare exports, an archaeological team unearths a horrific version of Santa who first kills off all the reindeer that the locals rely on for food and income. And then it moves on to kidnapping the town's children. And it falls on young
Okay.
Pitari, his father, and 2 other men to rescue the kids and stop murderous Santa and his all nude, all old men elves.
You could talk about
That's
this
what-
topic for like a full episode. So we could go into the this is the end where they use the giant dicks for comedy. They can go into like Renaissance paintings where they use the giant phallus to horrify people,
Oh,
demons. And
yeah,
stuff like that.
just in like 15 minutes,
Fear the dick.
I brainstormed 7 or 8 dong movies, and I had to
I wonder if
I had to
YouTube's gonna
whittle
look
my
at that
dongs
bullshit
down.
because we talk about dicks so much. But at this point,
Nah,
there's nothing new about it.
it's rated R. It's okay.
So that's 28 years later, and that's the top 5s that I wish you could wash out of my ears. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. We're getting back to our normal rotation after this. We sort of decided last minute we were going to make this happen and do 28 years after 28 weeks, and I'm glad we did, to be honest
Yep.
with you. So you'll be seeing this about
Same.
6 days from when we're recording it. Hopefully you had time to watch the movie. If you didn't, go fuck yourself. All right.
And go watch the movie.
Oh yeah, that's it. Sorry.
Alright.
No, we love you guys. Don't go fuck yourself. But yeah, have a
Yeah.
great time, and yeah, we're out of here.
Dong.
Have a good one, guys.
See ya.